All right. So I don't know if you read on Facebook, but I'm planning on playing each of you today with the purpose of analyzing the game after. I mean, that's only if you want. Of course, we could also just do the tactical motive stuff. But I think, like in general, games against stronger players do help you learn, especially if there's somebody to analyze the game with you after. So would you be up for that?
Yeah, I mean, sure.
All right.
That will be short. Yeah, please explain the position while you play, so I have a chance.
I mean, yeah, nah. While I play, probably not. We'll probably just do it.
Maybe you should have made me play, and then you could have commentated.
I mean,
I'll have to be the
no, because
commentator.
there has to be some quality, right?
That's exactly why you have to stop talking and let people. Okay, Marley's here, so you could.
Yeah, Marley. Hi. Just send me your lichess.
Oh, okay.
Because I'm going to play. I'm going to play a game against each one of you, and then we're going to analyze it.
You know, there is a mode called Simul mode, which is designed for this kind of thing.
I don't do computer science, so there's no way I could handle that.
I mean, he studies computer science, but he doesn't do it or know anything about it.
So, yeah, I'll just send you a challenge. And then...
Okay, so Victor is playing Niles here on the left, and we'll be playing Marley on the right in a second. Let's have a look at the position. Victor is white. Niles has an IQP, so that kind of dominates the position.
Not much longer.
Attack it. Got 4 pieces hitting it at the moment. Niles has 3, so obviously Niles is obliged to defend it. Looks fairly similar to themes you get in the Queen's Gambit with a potential bishop g5 hitting the knight and seriously attacking the d5 pawn. Not much that black can do. Okay, so black has just abandoned the pawn here, perhaps in favor to pick up the a2 pawn or something else. So this is fairly typical. Oh, perhaps he's making space to play rook d8 as well and pin whatever minor piece takes on d5 to the queen to take it back. So yeah, fairly typical play. Quite smart, but I think Victor's spotted something which means that it's going to be unlikely to be successful in the future. Anyway, this position usually arrives out of the knight f3, knight c6 conflict of d4. White plays knight d4, and in this case, it looks like black's taken with the and white's responding with queen takes. That kind of makes sense because white would never take on c6 because of b takes c6, defending the IQP. And securing black position, that tends to go quite nicely for them. Here we're still very much middle game. You can tell because both players have the 2 bishops, but now swapped off. Okay, so we're going to endgame now, and it's level because Victor's given away the b2 pawn, but not for long because b7 is falling straight after. Let's match those so it could go either way. What's happening on board 2? Victor versus Marley. Not much. It's a pretty boring game, I'm not gonna lie.
That is not my fault.
What was the opening? E4.
It was a classic.
It was French.
Yeah. I am obviously going to try to spice it up, but it's hard to make promises here.
So we're about to watch Victor get back rank mated, as is tradition. He plays bishop d6 exclamation mark, trapping the rook. Ha ha ha. No, last move, not now. Gosh. So this position is quite interesting because both players are going to have weaknesses on f7, f2. Obviously, Victor's managed to exploit Miles's a bit earlier.
Yes, he's actually playing quite a good game. I'm not happy about that.
What else can we commentate on? Why don't we...
You're playing more interesting openings next time.
Huh?
Just kidding.
The number of extensions Victor has in his browser. Oh, it's quite a significant number. We see Victor as an ad blocker, doesn't enjoy supporting independent websites. Same time, he's got Honey. Wow, Victor's really saving those pennies.
Yeah, I'm quite careful with how I spend the money.
Wonder what MP is.
What is this?
Uh,
What else have we got to say?
Interesting.
The game is shaping up to be fairly generic on board 2. Is that a queenside attack, or is it just an attempt to assert dominance on squares? We may never know. White has a choice of castling here. I think that's quite important. And maybe Victor's seen that and has opted to dissuade White from castling queenside by a potential threat.
Yeah, obviously I missed that. After bishop c5 here, there is rook c2. So that's quite unfortunate.
I just wanted to mention early enough that I have no shame in flagging you, right? If that means.
Oh yeah, okay, fair.
If that means he gets a sweet, sweet rating.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
1500 to
Rating is-
23 must be like plus 80 at least.
I figured that might be the case. I will do my best not to get flagged there. Queenside castle, all right. That is
So, yep, White's gone for the queenside castle as somewhat suggested.
quite a brave decision.
This would be attack. Victor gave up a pawn on board 1 in order to get his c5 motive in, blocking off the bishop. Is it enough though? I mean, quite possibly. Let's see. Ooh, rook c2. That's strong. Did you see that?
Yeah, I don't think it works.
C takes b6, rook takes c8, b7 to queen.
Yeah, that should end the game.
But can he do it in 8 seconds? I'm going to go ahead and say no.
Yeah, because there's an increment. I anticipated this predicament.
How is this? Is this completely lost?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Fair enough.
It's also the right corner.
It's because Victor has opposition anytime he needs it as well, that kind of thing.
I'm not sure about my conversion, as I'm a bit down on the clock, but it should be fine.
I don't think King G6 was the right move there. King H4 probably a bit stronger.
Yeah. Foo. Okay, careful. Yeah, careful here. Let's be a bit careful here.
On that one.
Yeah, that was very close to being a very sad ending to the game.
I think I would have just played straight bishop b7 there instead of that funny circuit thing you did on a3, but yep, should be absolutely fine. In the meantime, on board 2, Black's queenside attack is proceeding well. Pawns on b4 and a4, leaving White with a very cramped position. a5 is going to get opened up soon with this incredibly powerful rook, and White's pieces just aren't in the right position to defend that. I think White probably has a dark square weakness. Okay, so now that he's sacked the knight, perhaps not, but before that, yeah, for sure. Mainly attributable to that bishop on e3. I think bishop takes d2 would have been better to just give a little bit more security with the dark square bishop covering c1 and c3. You can bring it over if needed to b2. Now here this looks kind of dicey. See South and Black can look very happy with himself here, because White really doesn't have any compensation for it. Taken a queen for a rook and a knight is generally not good, but when you're already a piece down, obviously it's definitely still worse. Not that White particularly had any choice in the matter. Just something to note for the position. Obviously, White has to play King D1 here. King D3, absolutely. Also lost King C3 because of this. Rook B8 hitting B3. Because there's so few squares left, not really a viable option. Bishop B4 obviously is serious start here as well. Can play in fact Queen E2 first, then Bishop B4 is guaranteed mate, I think.
Yeah, I'm looking for a good, pretty way to finish this, but there's a problem. Oh, okay, I guess. I guess this should be fine. All right. All right, so let's go through the games. I'll go through the one with Niels first and then the one with Marley. So, all right, I must begin by saying I played really poorly in this game. But all right, so let's go through the opening first. So we basically have a weird variation of the of a Sicilian, because so like my repertoire in general is knight c3 against the Sicilian, and against d6 I like to transpose back into the open Sicilian. So now after knight c6 d4 we'd get a Paulsen, and also after a6 the same thing. Yeah, but after d5 you get this interesting IQP. So what I would say here, the first thing is that you shouldn't really be in a hurry to take on d4, as you did, because I'm most likely going to have to capture c5 at some point. And you know that against an IQP, let me just put this on full screen. You know that against an IQP, you kind of want to block it anyway, right? So you would want a piece on d4. So probably the best thing you could do here is just play something like along the lines of knight f6, or that is of course unless bishop g5 just wins on the pawn on d5, but I doubt that taking here and taking on c5 would be very good. But yeah, in general, my point is that you want to let me take on c5. You don't want to really do this unless you have to. Also, how you would generally go about analyzing your games, especially the opening phase, is if you have chess base. Otherwise, you can I guess Chess24 has the option, and many other sites where you can look up the if the exact position has appeared before. So, for example, if you go into this, right, and we look online, how many times has this position been played? So it's been played 800 times, and as you can see, c takes d4, there's only 34 games with it. And also, if you look at the score, White scores much better against c takes d4 than against knight f6 or knight c6 or even c4, just for the reason I told you. Because in general, if we look at how a normal game would go, let's see, Kasparov played this as white, right? Okay, this was c4, this doesn't. So let's say against knight f6. Let's look at a game white won. So I'm going to take on c5 anyway, right? Because I'm kind of forced to, because otherwise c4 will start becoming strong. So let's say you castle, no, sorry, let's say I play something like bishop f4, you castle. I'm not even sure what to play here, if not rook takes c1. But once you get your bishop out, so maybe not castle, maybe get your bishop out, right? And then I play, I don't know, queen d2. If you get to play c4 with and you're allowed to hold this pawn here with something like a6, b5. Now you can't do that obviously because although I guess bishop b4 is very annoying here because of knight e4. But the point is, why don't you play c4 on the first go here? Although it is played, the thing is that you like b3 is pretty annoying because you can't play a6 and b5 and hold your pawn here. And usually you don't really want to do this, as I have the open a file, and also I will have more pawns in the center after I play c4. Good. So yeah, that's like the first thing I would say. Don't rush with taking on d4. Now, as played, I think bishop b5 is not really a good move. I'm not sure why I played it, to be honest. I guess just because in general you kind of want to trade pieces. If you're the side that's playing against the isolated queen's pawn. But yeah, I just realized that if I take on d7, it's just going to be a very boring game. So I just changed my mind after.
Question: If you do take, I'll take with the queen, right?
Yeah, most likely. So I mean, there's merit to both takes, right? Because if you take with the knights, you can also get some knight c5, knight e4s in. But I would guess, yeah, I would guess that the most natural setup is taking with the queen and putting putting the knight on c6, because like that's the most natural square for the knight. So yeah, bishop e7. It's not really my kind of position, to be honest. I don't have so much experience in these positions, but just when you're not sure what to do, just development can't be too bad of an idea. I guess bishop g5 would have been better than bishop f4. But probably both are okay. Right, so here, another, I would say, interesting moment. I'm not really very keen on taking on c6 with the knight or with the bishop. I'm not sure if that's the best thing to do. Actually, bishop e2 is the best move. Wow, all right. Yeah, so the reason I played bishop e2 here is that I obviously just don't want to fix your pawns, right? So this is the biggest weakness in your position, the pawn on d5. And my long-term plan is just to keep attacking it with every piece I have until I take it. And now bishop e2 obviously just works towards that goal. But then again, obviously bishop e5 was a pretty bad move if I put it on e2 and on mf3 after that, right? All right, so we get to this position. Now, once again, same thing. Although, like this is the mistake you see a lot of players make. So there's not really any point in taking on d4, just because, as we established before, like obviously if I wanted to ever take on c6, I would take on c6 here. The moment you take on d4, you make my life so much easier, because how do I attack d4 if not for knight takes d4? So I would have to play something like queen d2 and then rook d1 and then get this knight somewhere, and even then you probably just play bishop e6 and that's that. The pawn is defended. So yeah, like I'm not really very happy about this knight being on d4, although it's a pretty good piece. I would rather, it's better to attack the isolated queen's pawn than to block it. So once you take here, not only do you exchange a set of pieces, which is not what you want to do against the isolated queen's pawn, but also you're just helping me attack your pawn and take it, basically. So now you kind of have to come up with.
Ask the move before the other move I was thinking about was queen b3. Is that better than in this position?
Queen b6, you mean?
Yeah, sorry, queen b6. Yeah.
Queen b6 here. Well, let's see. Well, I mean that depends if you have problems with the d5 pawn or not. So my concern would be that after knight b3 you can't defend your pawn.
I was gonna go forward.
Yeah, and yeah, there's a question if you can do this or not. So once again, my gut instinct would be no, just because of this, but I've been like, I guess this works somehow. My instinct is that this works, and you're probably much better here as black. Yeah. So maybe, but because knight a5, I just runs into queen b5, and I can't protect that knight. Other moves, let's see, knight d4. Knight d4 could be a move. Yeah, so I'll probably have to play something like knight d4. Yeah, but then I think you get enough play here to justify pushing the pawn. Yeah, so it would be another position, but yeah, that's probably, it's obviously much better if you look at this position after queen b6. I'm not missing anything, am I, right? There's no, yeah, so this is obviously a much better position for you. There's probably some bishop g5. Yeah, this is probably just much better than the game. Although, yeah, bishop g5 is a bit hard to meet. Yeah, as played, obviously, this is kind of a dream for me. Yeah, also another small thing, I would probably put the bishop on e6, not on c6, just because you do want some sort of play, right? And this rook is obviously going to come to c8 at some point, so you don't really want to be blocking that with your bishop on c6, because now you're just very, very passive. So my mistake in the game after queen a5. So here, yeah, I just rushed with taking on d5. For some reason, I missed the intermezzo with bishop f6. But there's really no need to rush here, so I can just play some a3 maybe, or probably better just rook fe1. You probably play bishop c5 here. If you get bishop c5 and b4 and d4, I'm not happy. So let me try to think of another move here. Is there another move? You're free to come up with suggestions if you thought of anything during the game. That goes for you too. Oh, we have two more people, William and Mark. Yeah, so we are analyzing a game I just played against Niels, and then we're going to look at the game I played against Marley. All right, yeah, so I don't want to spend too much time on it. I would say probably some combination of a3, b4 threats. So probably something like this, maybe, and with some b4 stuff. So, but yeah, obviously this needs to be analyzed. My instinct is that you're fine. So yeah, then this becomes the what does the computer say, by the way? Oh yeah, bishop e5 is smart, and bishop c5 now. Yeah, now this is very awkward for you. All right, yeah, interesting. Yeah, but after knight d5, you played very well, I think. So taking and having this intermediate move is because I obviously just calculated some rook d8, and I thought c4, and yeah, okay, I'm doing very well here. Because takes or whenever you take on a2, I just play rook a1 and take on a7, so I don't really lose a pawn there. Yeah, but bishop f6 is a bit awkward. So queen d2. We go into this descending. Yeah, and here h6 is very important, and I'm very glad you played it, because it's yeah, it's always better to just have some space for your king in every rook endgame. And also, when you have same color bishops, you do want to make space for on like the square that's not of your opponent's bishop color. So that's why I played g3 in this position, because you want to the square you leave your king. You put your king on one should be of opposite color than your opponent's bishop. So yeah, rook d7. I'm not sure if this was the best here. Probably just g3 the first time. But yeah, I just wanted to be active. And here again, probably considering what happened in the game, bishop e3 is just a much better move. And then g3 and yeah, bishop c5 threats and whatnot. But I just thought, yeah, okay, g3 and then bishop d6, and then the game will end.
And bishop e3, bishop g5?
Sorry?
Bishop e3, bishop g5 is not weird?
Oh.
You can play f4 or something, or?
All right, I missed that.
I mean, but like.
Yeah, I missed that too. Yeah, this is probably awkward. Yeah, no, very nice. That's very awkward to meet. Bishop g5. Okay, so I guess I have to play.
Is white maybe just winning though in bishop g5 after rook takes a7? No.
Rook takes h7. Oh.
No, rook takes. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I would say not, just because of rook takes e3 and taking everything, and then rook c8.
Yeah, I didn't see that. Yeah.
But yeah, could be. I don't know. I have two passed pawns. So we're talking about this position, right? We're talking about this.
Yeah, but I missed that he had rook takes instead of like rook takes first.
When?
So like, yeah, so after rook takes a7, black plays rook takes first, right?
Yeah, yeah, that's what I'm wondering. So like, if it's better to leave a pair of rooks here, because in general, like double rook endgames are easier to draw than single rook endgames, right? So okay. I would be very concerned about this with black, because after all, this is, although we have probably
rook c8 was what I thought black had here, and this looks like a draw, I think, but I don't know.
Yeah, these are always very particular, but you probably have good chances of holding this as black with such an active rook. So yeah, this probably just draws. All right, then I think maybe the only thing I'm left with is king f1, I guess, here. And this should probably be fine. Let's see what the computer says.
I was gonna play bishop c3 after king f1.
Bishop c3, yeah, but then I think it's all right, because like at the very least, even if I play g3 now, it's a much better version than in the game, right? Because now you don't get all that counterplay with grabbing my pawns and bishop d4 and all that nonsense. So I would say I'm doing very, very, very good here. The computer agrees. Yeah, all right, yeah. So g3 was a mistake by me. You played very well, rook e2, just getting active, and rook c and rook c2 here. So I like those moves very much. And yeah, I don't think I'm winning anymore here, to be honest. I think you generated enough counterplay for this to become very awkward, and I was really afraid of this position. Oh, I'm grabbing the bishop. All right, yeah, I obviously missed this, because otherwise I would have gone for it.
Oh, okay. I obviously missed it as well.
yeah, this is a miss. But yeah, if this wasn't the case, then this is very hard to win with white, just because you're so active on the second rack, and there's bishop d4 coming. Yeah, so I basically am conceding to the fact that I'm probably not winning this after rook c7 and bishop d4. So my only chance is to get out with the king at this point. Like, there's no bishop c5 just runs into rook c2, unfortunately, for me. And then yeah, I just have to get out with the king and just hope for the best by pushing the c pawn. So yeah, I'm not.
I clearly misplayed it, but I didn't quite know where I went wrong exactly.
Yeah, so I think, I don't know, it's still like hard, but usually like the best thing is to try to generate as much counterplay as possible, because like for me, that's what I'm doing, right, with c4, just going for it. You could try, but it's probably not very realistic to create some sort of a mating net. Or just get out with the bishop. But like, the more I look at it, the more I'm very scared with black, because I don't see how you're stopping that c pawn. So as played with rook a2, I guess just play bishop a5. I wanted to play rook c7 here. Sorry, rook a8 here. Because like, whenever my pawn gets to c7, if you can somehow hold it with your rook on a black square, and so like what I'm talking about is like some sort of position like this. I don't know. So let's say you take, and I push the pawn. I don't know, king somewhere. I push again. It's very hard for me to take the next step, is what I'm doing. So you put your rook on. Oh, sorry, I'm hanging the bishop. All right. So let just ignore that. Let's say the rook is on b7. It's hard for me to make like the final push, is what I'm saying, because whenever I play rook b8 or rook a8, you can take it and come back to defend this rook. And if not, yeah, obviously your king is way faster than my king in this position. So I guess, yeah, as scary as this is, I think
precisely here rook b5 might be working, but I see the general point.
Why?
Because of
bishop. Yeah, but I think even there, like some yeah, probably that works. Yeah, but once again, like
the general point.
Yeah, ignoring all the cheapos and stuff. But yeah, like probably still win. White still wins because this bishop has so few squares. But yeah, in general, I guess that's what you should try to do. But it's very hard. Like, I can see, I don't know what the computer says. Yeah, it says just keep your bishop here somehow, but it's very hard to play this sort of moves. G4, what is G4? Jesus Christ. Yeah, but it's kind of saying the same thing, right? It's saying you're even better now. It's saying just let the pawn run and you'll be able to stop it at some point. All right, and yeah, as played, you just fell for this c takes b6 and b7 and queen. And yeah, this is probably just lost. It's important for me to be careful, like to not play an h3 here, because that's just immediate draw after. Yeah, he's saying I misplayed it. In that, that's probably true. Yeah, g4 is just very bad. You don't want to trade pawns here. You want to take them. But yeah, in time trouble, I thought this should be fine as well. So yeah, and it's very hard for you to go wrong here. I'm not sure oh yeah, he's just saying like don't do anything. Oh, king h4. Oh, king h4, king h3, and picking up that one. Okay, fair enough. All right, so interesting game. Things to remember are, yeah, in the opening, don't develop my pieces for no reason. Like with c takes d4 and knight takes d4. And then yeah, I think tactically you played all right. You generated counterplay. You made the right loop for your king. And then yeah, you just missed the tactic. But yeah, very good game, I would say. All right, and then the game against Marley. So it was an exchange French, which I was not very happy with. And yeah, as a general rule of thumb in the exchange French, I would say if your opponent, that goes for like white and black, it doesn't matter. So whoever puts their knight on the c file, the other person should respond by putting the pawn there. So if I were to play knight c6 here instead of bishop d6, let me analyze it. So if I were to put my knight on c6 instead of bishop d6, c3 would be the best response, because in general the pawn on c3 or the pawn on c6 just kills all the prospects of this knight. So I can't really ever generate enough play against the d4 pawn. I can't really jump anywhere, so that's usually a very good response against that knight. All right, and yeah, just normal moves: bishop e2, knight f6, bishop g5. But here I would say bishop b3 is a very, like, not a very big, but like it's a clear mistake. Because think about what my best piece in this position is, right? It's obviously the bishop on d6. And also this pin is kind of annoying for me, right? So if you play bishop h4, I'm not very keen on playing g5 and yeah, just making my king side so weak. But even if I do play g5, the point is you are trading this bishop, which is kind of your bad bishop because of the fixed pawn on d4. You're trading this bishop for my bishop, which is great, right? So if this trade happens, I'm obviously never taking, but if this trade happens, then I'm sort of left with this bishop, which is not doing very much. Like, my plan in this position would be to somehow trade it for your bishop. And your bishop of light squares, that is actually pretty good, right? So it's looking at like all my weaknesses. And once again, this pawn is fixed on a dark square. So then the light square bishop becomes very good. So yeah, not really any point in going with the bishop on e3, just because bishop h4 is much more annoying to me. And it's also serving the purpose of going bishop g3 and exchanging this piece, which is really good. So bishop e3, castles, queen d2, and now after b5, I'd say you made like a very, very, very big mistake. Just because I do see your point that I played h6, and so an h3 g4 attack and with g5 would be much stronger than it would normally be. That being said, after you long castles and I get b4 and knight e4 in, you can clearly see that it's not going to be you that's attacking in this position. It's most likely going to be me, as I'm so far ahead now. And yeah, he's saying queen a5. I'm not sure what's the response to a3, but probably just going back and yeah, now your a3 is as bad as my h6. So yeah, that's kind of obviously the reason I played b5. b5 is to play b4 and knight a4, and long castle is just running right into it. So probably a3 is a decent move here, just to stop that. And then yeah, once again, go for short castles. It's an exchange French. You're not really going to be worse ever as white. So yeah, be sure that when you're castling on the opposite side, so because like if I would not have played b5, let's say I would have played bishop e6, right? Then long castles becomes like a serious alternative, right? Because now b5 is a bit slower. You have time for king b1 and maybe putting your queen on c1. Although once again, I would be very very afraid to long castle into such like a free attack, because it takes for you 2 moves to get a g4 in, where it takes 1 for me to get b5 in. So yeah, as played, you saw this was basically a pretty big disaster, and I think b3 just seals the deal, just because you're like giving me a free file, right, to work on. I'm keen on playing a4 anyway, and b3 doesn't really stop me from doing that, right? And it also gives me this square in the future. So yeah, like if you got this far, I would say probably just start going crazy with moves like g4, try to get g5 in. You don't really care about that pawn as long as you get files, open files in. If you're afraid to play g4, just play h3 and go for g4. And I'm obviously going to be first to attack here, but you still have like chances for these to not be a complete disaster. The way you usually defend these types of attacks is, so I don't know, let me just make a move, knight d2 or even g4. The way you usually defend is when I push b3, you don't take. You don't want me to get this open a file. Instead, you close it with a3. And now, obviously, if you get the chance, like if I play something else than taking on c2, you play c3 as well and close everything down. But I'm obviously going to take, but this is not so bad anymore, right? So, I mean, it is bad, don't get me wrong, but it's not like you're getting mated in like 3 moves, right? So you still have your counterplay here, and it does take some time for me to get my pieces out. So I have to, I don't know, get my knight out, put my rook on b8, put my queen on b6, and you can easily imagine like a defensive setup with something like, I don't know, a bishop on c1 or something. Although, yeah, I will say this square is pretty annoying. Like the fact that I have queen b3 is very annoying, as you don't have king b1 because of bishop a3. But like in general, when your opponent is not so far ahead that I am in this attack, in general, it's an all right idea to defend against b3 with a3, and it actually happens in very frequently in a game. It actually happens very frequently in an opening I play a lot, and I remember a 12-year-old kid just destroying me a few years ago in this sort of. Let me just see if I can quickly find the game. All right, I don't have the game anymore, but like the main line of the French, like the classical attack goes something like this. So you have knight c3, knight f6, e5, knight d7, f4, c5, knight f3, knight c6, bishop c3, and now there's many moves here, but like this is an old line that I like to play. And yeah, so here, I don't know, queen f2 is one of the moves, but let me just highlight the point I'm trying to make. h6, knight e2, a5, h6, g6, some queen c7, oh sorry, it's white to play. So some queen c7 here, I don't know, probably takes a knight d4. So now you can see what I'm trying to say, that is what will be white's response in this position after b3. White's response is obviously going to be a3, because it's much harder for me to do anything after this. If you take, then I'm obviously very happy, right? This a file is open. I can immediately generate mating threads with queen a7. If you take with a c-pawn, once again, this is like another typical response, right? But you can imagine some sacrifices happening on a3 at some point, and yeah, you not being very happy, especially because I have this c2 square maybe in the future. So I know I can, like, knight e4 is kind of hard to meet here. So yeah, like the usual response is a3 in this position, and not really anything that black can do now to generate immediate attack. There's also an international master who beat me very convincingly because of this motive. like last year in an open using the same idea. For some reason, it's not finding the game. Hold on. I'm just spending so much time on it because I think it's a really important motive. Although I'm not really sure why it's not finding the game. I played thousands of games against him, so I guess I'll just search me. Oh, sorry. Do stop me when you have questions. I don't want to go too fast. So I was black. And it was last year at Arad. Do you see Banzia here? Yeah, here it is. So it was the exact opening I showed you. And yeah, basically we both started attacking. And another very, very important is that when I got b4 and b takes a5, a3 in, I was really happy. And I thought, okay, now I'm breaking through. But he just shuts the door on the attack with b3. And now you can see that there's not really any attack that is going to happen. So whenever I will play a2 check, he will just play king a1, tuck his king here. And there's not really any progress I can make. So, and yeah, I just basically just lost the game in a few moves after this, just because his attack is really strong on that side. And my attack is basically going nowhere. And yeah, he just buried me here, and there's nothing I really could have done. So in opposite sides castling, when you both are attacking, you are trying to So you're going to do everything to make sure that your opponent doesn't get open files against your king. Because once that happens, the game is basically done. So as played, you saw I got knight c3 in, and now if you take, I think you saw that if you take and move your knight somewhere, I will just take here and this will be mate. Or if you take with the other pawn, I will just take here, and yeah, this king is basically doomed. So the key mistake I'd say is not underestimating my attack after long castles, because I can see how that would be the case if you don't really are familiar with this type of position. But I would say the biggest mistake here was b3. All right, and then obviously there's no point in analyzing this further. It's just, yeah, it's just a piece down and the attack continues. All right. Any questions about any of the games? Do you guys hear me?
Yeah.
All right, no questions?
Well, after a3, if you've advanced to b3, is that
When?
so if you play b3 and I go to a3, are there any worries if you take on c2?
Well, I talked about that, right? So let's say, I don't know, some h3, a4, g4, b3, a3. This is much better than in the game, right? So I would the problem is that I'm so far ahead that you don't have time to tuck your king in on a1. But if you could, so let's say I don't have bishop a3 here, right? And so I have to play some, I don't know, let's say some bishop a6, and you get your king to a1. I don't know, I trade and play some knight a6 to get my rook to b8. This is not so bad, right? So this is, once again, I have bishop a3 here, but just ignore it. This is all right after something like, I don't know, bishop c1 or just defend this knight to stop bishop a3 from happening. This is playable, right? So the only problem here, I mean, actually, I thought knight b4 is winning because of a takes, because of the a3 motive. And it but I'm actually not threatening queen a2 here, and I'm not. Yeah, I guess this is kind of a problem. But you do have knight d2, so I'm not sure. But yeah, the thing is, like, it's not clear how black is breaking through here, right? So even though I got my open file, my open b file, this is obviously better than compared to what you got in the game when I had the A file opened, right? So the B file is all right, or the G file if the colors are reversed, as long as like you get your king to safety and have some pieces to defend. But having the H file or the A file open is usually the worst, as we even had some games in the previous lessons where we saw just those types of attacks, right, on the open H file. So yeah, I would say you're not happy allowing this, but there's not really any way to go around it, right? But in general, yeah, don't move any of the pawns in front of your king unless you're like absolutely forced to. You can even see the evaluation after b3, how it just jumps like a full piece, just because of how powerful the open A file is. So yeah, you're not happy, but that's kind of the best you can do in this position, I would say. Although, yeah, I do admire. I mean, I'm not really sure how you play the exchange French and then go for this crazy position. I guess you're just bipolar, because it's kind of an interesting contrast, like going for opposite sides castling, although you play the exchange French. Yeah, it's just a joke, obviously, but I think you understand what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. And in the meantime, someone else joined, Mark and William. Sorry, guys, I couldn't play against you, but you weren't really here at the beginning, so yeah, maybe next time, I guess. All right. Well, thank you guys for coming today. If there's no more questions, how is term going for you? Do you have exams?
Nope, not for me.
Nope, no exams.
But aren't you guys second years?
Yeah.
And how come no exams? You took that option with...
Mine are
Like-
all in third year.
Oh, all right. Yeah. So you have that kind of subject. All right. Fair enough.
I'm third year PhD, so never again.
I see. All right. Well, I guess see you guys next term. Thank you for coming. All of you have been attending regularly. So yeah, thanks for making this possible. And yeah, see you.
Thank you for doing it.
And during the break, if you have questions or would like private lessons or something, do let me know. But even if it's not a lesson, if it's just, yeah, I don't know what you think about this game or something, do feel free to text me. So yeah, thank you guys, and see you next term.
Thank you, Victor.
Yeah.
Bye,
Thank you,
guys.
Victor. See you next
Thanks.
year.
Yeah, see you next year.